Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our match preview, Brentford v Aston Villa. We've got a stacked out panel, Ryan, Hannah and Mathew today. Big game away at Brentford, so we're going to get straight into it then. Hannah, I want to have your reflection on the first game of the season for Aston Villa.
Probably wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a goal thriller, as did probably lots of us, given the last few meetings we've had with them, especially back in April at Villa Park when we sort of blew them away. It was just a bit lethargic, wasn't it? I don't necessarily think we played really poorly, and I think there was maybe a little bit of an overreaction, which could have come from high expectations pre-season, but I think it was just a bit lethargic. It very much felt like first game of the season, lots of overhit passes, crosses, ball going out of play from both teams, to be honest. So it wasn't the best, but I thought for a 0-0, for a goalless draw, it was a decent intensity. I think if you're a neutral watching it, it wasn't like a particularly boring game. Obviously, we didn't have many chances, particularly in the first half, but I don't think it was a terrible watch. The Konza sending off obviously just completely changes the game, doesn't it? If that doesn't happen, then you don't know. It's all what ifs, whataboutery. The impact subs could have been very different. We could have gone on to win the game. Who knows? But to start with a clean sheet, I think for me was brilliant. We kind of keep that momentum of not losing at home, and we just go again. I think this game coming up at the weekend, going away to Brentford, who in a very difficult position, will be a little bit more of a test. That first game, I don't think really will be the best reflection of the rest of our season. And I feel like a lot of our first home games of the season, other than that like glorious Everton, our first season back up, a lot of the first games have been a little bit of a stumbling block. Like it was Arsenal last year. In previous years, we've not done so well. So yeah, I'm not taking too much from it. I think we'll definitely grow into the season, hopefully, as it goes.
Yeah, I think, we all had sort of back at Villa Park, can't wait to be back. And then Konsa gets sent off and, your ticker just starts going back into like a place that it's been in that you're like, I've not missed this feeling, like wave after wave. And they weren't creating much, but, that sinking, inevitable feeling that they're going to score. Like, I don't miss that basically. And we had that back. Ryan, so what were your sort of main takeaways? I know you've done a real nice tactical piece on X as well. So, what did you sort of make of Villa? Maybe like first half and say first 60, because it's difficult when you're down to 10 men to take a look at sort of like where Villa were at, really.
Yeah, my thoughts echo exactly what Hannah said. I had that meh feeling, walking out the ground. It was a bit of a disappointment, and it wasn't really until that I kind of respected the performance that Newcastle put in. I thought they put us under immense pressure in the way they press us, the triggers they were pulling to switch into man-to-man marking, and we struggled to find routes out of that press, and they won the first half basically in terms of performance-wise. Couldn't get the noses in front, and second half I felt we come out the better team. We started to bypass that press. We started to find movement and rotating a little bit more, and we was getting a lot of joy, and we swung the momentum. We was creating chances. Obviously, Kamara had that header, and another day left or right to the keeper, and we're 1-0 up, and we was looking like we was going to go on, and I fancied us to possibly win the game. It looked like it was our game to take, and then obviously the red card swung it, kind of like, we're on the attack, and it's a bit of a blind cross, and players had moved out of position, and it opened up for Newcastle, and Newcastle are like super great on fast breaks, and when they're vertically in full flow like they were, it's very difficult to stop. And Konza made the decision just to stop it there and there, didn't he? So he didn't want to see the outcome. What goes through your mind? It's either you let Gordon run through and he scores, and then we deal with it with 11 players on the pitch. But he took the decision to bring him down, and we've hung on for a 0-0, and And like Hannah said, we lost 2-0 to Arsenal last season on our opening home game, and we played marvellous, absolutely blew Arsenal away and lost 2-0. And we missed out on Champions League on goal difference. So if we would have got a point that game, it could have all been different. But great to get back down there. It was solid. We were solid at the end of last season defensively. We were solid again. It's just we picked a solid team and we got a sort of no-frills solid result. So there's still potential in this team to grow.
And you went with Ralph, you little lad. What was his sort of thoughts after the game? Where was he at with it all?
He was just laughing his head off at the geezer behind me, just effing and jeffing all game. He goes, "Dad, you keep saying all these naughty words." And then at the end, he goes, "I wish he was my dad." I said, "Why?" He said, every time you swear, you give me a $5 and I'll be a millionaire. So he had a fun day. It was nice to see it from his perspective as well. He was in the safe standing as well, so he was standing on his chair, loving it and loving the songs and stuff like that. So. Yeah. He's happy to be down there.
We did when me and Ryan, we normally meet at the same place in the Upper Halton, and we did say when we was having our chat before the game that whatever happens in here, when you get to the bottom of the whole end steps, you've got to erase it out of your mind. So, that was our little bit of fun that we had. Mathew, then, right, we're going to touch on Premier League overall. What have been your sort of thoughts on many of the other different teams? By the way, he's only here because he's gone viral on TikTok and Instagram. So he's got fans already. So that's why he's on the main show. So what were your thoughts on like the Premier League overall? Like some of the results, who stood out? Were there any surprises for you this weekend?
Mate, where do you start? I think it's in a bit. I think if it's in a bit of a mess, you could probably guess who's going to go down now. I mean, West Ham look like they're going to be in massive trouble. Brentford look like they could potentially beat Derby's record. There's so much going on. Actually, to be fair, the Man United and Arsenal game yesterday was a good game, and United look improved. So that's a worrying sense. A team that finished 16th last season, I mean, can go and spend how much money at the top of the pitch, and they look dangerous. It's a couple of good signings there, and Bremer and Cunha. And Chelsea and Palace and the Eze strike and the free kick. Yeah, it's just another thing to point out with VAR and stuff like that, and the rules. Just leave the game alone. But it was that goal should have stood for me. But I don't care about the rule or anything like that. That goal should have stood. It was a great game. Whoever picks up Eze is going to have a great signing. So I think if you look at the bottom three now, you'd say potentially they're the ones that would go down. I mean, who's down there? You got Wolves. So you got
West Ham.
West Ham are down there. Brentford just outside. Yeah, it's I'll take a screenshot of the Premier League right now. Bottom three.
Cool. Right. So Brentford up next for Villa, and it's a big test for Villa because going away, how are we going to perform? Are we going to be a bit more attacking? Are we going to be a bit more open? Brentford, I watched them against Forest and they were bad, very, very bad. But I think there's a few little negating factors in there. He played Sharda on the bench. Damsgaard was out because his wife had a child. Ataria, brand new signings coming in. So I think it could look a little bit changed from Villa. But, they're a team that have, when you look at and lose players, last thing you want to do is lose a spine of your team. Flecken, they've lost Norgard, they've lost Mbuemo, they could lose Wisa. That's the spine of their team evaporated. The manager has gone, who's, absolutely integral to the way in which Brentford have operated the last couple of years. Brand new manager, set piece coach, who's now been promoted internally. It's a big ask to fill Thomas Frank's shoes. So, Hannah, what do you make of like the landscape at Brentford, and how do you feel about Villa going there? And it's going to be his first home game managing his side.
It's a tough tough ask of him, isn't it? And you feel a bit sorry for the Brentford fans who have not only had to navigate losing a manager that I assume that they loved because he was brilliant with them and for them, but then on top of that, like you say, they lose so many key players. I can see Vista going before the end of the window. So you're then looking at a very different team to what they were looking at last year. And I think under Thomas Frank, they really were building a solid, consistent Premier League side since they were promoted. So it's a huge blow for them. And I think this season, surviving for them should be success and seen as success. I mean, it could get to the end of the season and Mr. Set Piece coach as the manager has had an absolute worldie and they've pulled off a top half finish. Who knows? But as it stands, I think survival will be the aim for them. And first home game of the season, they're going to be feeling pretty positive. I think every club goes into the first home game thinking, yeah, we're going to win this, we're going to have a great season. But I think if Villa rock up and kind of play as we'd want to, as we think we can, then it could be quite a tricky day for them. First away game for us is obviously huge. Our away form was poor for parts last season, but I feel like, as Ryan touched on there, towards the end we really did start to solidify, and that's one of the main things we'll be looking to carry on into this season. I think Emery, I've kind of written a little bit about this today, just getting some thoughts down about the fact that Unai just seems to love calm in chaos. And there's a lot of chaos in the Premier League and a lot of teams that want to disrupt and kind of shake us out of our system because everyone knows that Unai Emery likes his tactics. And Unai's always looking for that calm. And I think we see that in a lot of our performances this season, and we saw it last season. It's not necessarily the most exciting thing, but I think especially when you're going away from home, sometimes you have got to grind out results. You're kind of looking for that clean sheet and maybe even nicking a goal. So I'm sort of backing the Unai calm to sort of do us well in this fixture, because it is a time of such disruption and a little bit of chaos for Brentford. And we're going to hopefully come in and be able to sort of, and hit them while they're vulnerable, so to speak. But yeah, there's definitely room there for us to go there and get a result. I just hope that after this sort of practice run against Newcastle, we're a little bit more warmed up, get a few of the juices flowing. We just, we need a little bit of that spark, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, is there any irony in like the set piece coach, now the manager, conceding off set pieces? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know who he's got working on them, but they're conceding at the minute. Right. So Mathew, like, you know, we know each other really well, and I know you love coaching and you've coached teams in the past then. So I really want to touch base with you on sort of the jump from going from a set piece coach to a manager in the Premier League. How do you think he's going to do? How do you think he's going to adapt? And I think me and you, we were watching him when he was mic'd up as well. So he's been mic'd up during pre-season. So what are your overriding thoughts on Keith Andrews?
Yeah, I think I think that there must be something there, or he wouldn't be in the Brentford job, was he? But it's probably a bit of the Brentford process. And what I mean when I say that is they get someone within. You look at Thomas Frank, when took over D. Smith, they get someone in. So they kind of got this process. Same with the players, but I generally think it is a bridge too far for them by getting him in. I mean, he joins a small list of first jobs in the Premier League. You're talking, last one was Arteta in 2019. Ryan Giggs at United, remember that one? And then going back to Southgate at Middlesbrough when he took over, that was his first job. So there is, he joins a very small list of coaches who have the first job being a Premier League manager. But there must be something there. We watched that mic'd up session. He seems a good communicator, a bit of a motivator. I'm sure there'll be decent on-set pieces. Say that 5 minutes. Bosh, Chris Woods. Thank you very much. They only conceded 2 all of last season, and they had the best defensive record from set pieces as well. Yeah, I think he's got a lot to learn. He's going to have to learn quickly, very quick. I can see him or Potter being the first ones to go in the Premier League. But yeah, listen, look, it's a tough ask, isn't it? It's going to be a thankless task for him. I think we'll overrun them in the middle of the park, to be honest. The week all over, I listened to a bit of what the Brentford fans had to say after the game, and they were just saying Forest just bullied them, just literally bullied them. So if you got a Nana, and I wouldn't be surprised if Emery does not make one change. I really, really wouldn't. I think McGinn in there, Tielemans, and Nana, just bully them. And hopefully no one gets sent off. I say Konza gets sent off, he won't be playing. But hopefully they will get sent off and the subs can come on and kind of win the game for us. But yeah, it's got a thankless task. And I did have a little look as well. He's actually played. He has played for Wolves as well. So he's an Irish dingo. So there's another incentive to beat him.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, you know, as a manager, you've got to have a philosophy and a style, and I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure what he's got. Like he's got to learn it. He's got to adapt it. They've got to buy into it. So
Yeah,
it is a tough ask, and
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be difficult for him. So Ryan, Villa away from home. Then Mathew's saying he thinks it might be a bit more of the same from Villa. What do you expect? Because I look at Villa last season, and you look at Villa's home form, and it's like it's perfect. You know, it's not perfect, but it kind of is. We drew a few bad games, but all in all, unbeaten. Away from home, that's where we lost points, weren't as good then. So, do you think Emery's looked at Villa away and thought, "I've got to change," or do you think he's like, "We're fine. We'll keep doing it. We'll keep going"?
I think he looked at it after the Palace game, after he got smashed 4-1 at Palace. I think that was the turning point. From that point then to the end of the season, if you forget about trips to Manchester, we won every game. We won every game. We went to places like Brighton, Bournemouth. Yeah, that they were flying last season. Brentford, obviously, we went there. Southampton. And we just dominated games and kept clean sheets. I think we've kept 7 clean sheets out the last 11 games. So structurally, defensively, we're solid. We're very, very solid away from home, and probably suits us more away now because we've got that ability to soak up pressure and be calm and take possession of the football away from home and control the game. And I feel like this game against Brentford is one that you got to control. You talk about Keith Andrews. You don't really know his tactical identity at the minute. That is still to form and still to shape. But it felt like they want to be a front foot team, and I felt like there was a bit naive against Forest. It felt like a promoted team from the Championship coming up who's played lovely, expansive football in the Championship, landed in the Premier League and tried to do it in the Premier League. Your Burnleys under Vinny Company and your Southamptons, bringing that game and not really changing it. And look at the goals they can see. Like you said, the set piece for the first one, they were loose in transition. They were just getting turned over all the time. So there was all over the place. And it's understandable. It's like they've managed to deal with change. They lost Ivan Toney and brought in Whistler, and they've done it in stages and over time, but it's just too much at the minute. I think too much has moved and too much has got to be replaced, and the structure is wobbly. It's wobbly, and it's up to us now to go there and as a big team and dominate. Like we got a great result there last season, and I expect the same again. I kind of feel we lost a little bit in the middle against Newcastle. If you don't play Pau, you need Tielemans in the pivot. Not having Pau and Tielemans as the 10, we sort of lost that mobility to transition more smoothly. But if he did, I kind of feel like if he wants Tielemans in that 10, I feel like the midfield three have all got the ability to rotate in them positions. Do you know what I mean? If Tielemans drops, then Onana could just jump into that number 10 position, especially when Newcastle were pressing us and we looked to go long. every time we went long, Dan Burn, all day, bang, 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 just took us clean out. But if you drop Anana in there for a couple of these times when we go along, much of a bigger challenge there for Dan Burn. And I feel like at the back end of the season, Kamara in the more advanced was being productive, and like he can move into that position. So I feel like we was very solid and very safe, weren't we? But I feel like against Brentford, we can be a bit more creative. Yeah. And look, it was solid. The front four was so out of sync. The synergy just wasn't there. It weren't very nice to watch, really. Rodgers was like loose as hell. Everything was bouncing off there. Even McGinn, loose balls. And we hadn't even played that front four in any of the pre-season games, you know what I mean? So they must have been working on it a lot in training, but we didn't see that front four. So I feel like there could be a bit of change. But I think it's a base for us to grow into, I think.
Yeah, touching on the game then, Hannah, what changes do you expect? And the number one question I'm going to ask you, would you drop Bizot now, or would you keep him in goal?
Ooh.
Tough, isn't it? I was saying this to my dad as we were leaving the ground. Like the spoiling my answer here. The difficult thing is, I think he does get dropped for the next game. The Emery philosophy tends to be, obviously there's some squad rotation, but it tends to be you're always going to play your best players. So Martinez probably does come back in, but I think it was very early on. I can't remember if it was the Elanga shot. It probably was, but he made that big save, didn't he? It was so early on in the game, and you could feel the reaction in the crowd of like, oh, backup keeper
saved it.
He looks solid, and he went on to have a brilliant game. So unfortunately, I think he gets dropped, but I think actually could be really useful for us this year if Emery's going to go gung-ho for Europa League, and perhaps, I think we touched on before, maybe the domestic cups potentially knocked down the pecking order more so than last season. Bizot potentially completely just runs the show with those. Who knows? Anyway, so I think Martinez will come in. Obviously, without Konza, I think that's quite a tricky one. Does he play two left footers and have Mings and Pau, or does he leave Kamara there? I think there is genuinely a chance that he could leave Kamara in that position. We know he can do it. He looked really sort of solid for the remainder of the game on Saturday. So that is an option. Other than that, I'd have to agree with Mathew that I don't see him making too many changes. I've found it, as Ryan says, quite frustrating just how difficult we made it look on Saturday to just progress the ball at the pitch. I would like your guys' opinion. Like, was it Newcastle's strong point that they were just touch tight to the ball the whole game and they just didn't let us have a chance? Or was it we were unable to break them down? Because I was getting frustrated that the ball would reach Kamara or Anana and the game would stop. Like, you saw the Newcastle counter-attack. Yes, they're away from home and that's their style of play, but the speed at which they would move up that pitch was like frightening. But as soon as we'd get that ball, and we didn't have it very much, particularly the first half, it would stop, and everything would stop. Everyone would get back into position and then pass it around a bit, and it was frustrating. And I felt a little bit like we look here like we've set this up in training, like you say, and we've practiced with this formation. And we're trying to do it like it's in training, and it just weren't working because you've then got 11 other players on the pitch that are stopping it. So whether Emery saw that as well, and he'll sort of look to switch things up and look to go something that's a little bit more expansive. Obviously, having Kamara, Tielemans and Onana is a very strong midfield, but whether one of them sort of swaps out for Tielemans to interchange position, and then do you put someone else in? Do you put like a Buendia in, like chuck him in? I don't know. It's a big ask of him as well. So my gut would say that we're going to mostly be the same, other than a Martinez and whoever kind of steps in for Konza. But yeah, I did find that midfield a little bit frustrating.
I think touching on your point about the way we sort of set up a little bit, I think Newcastle's obviously their midfield three is very good. It's Tonali is exceptional. Guimaraes, and then you've got Joelinton just, he chucks his body around and his muscle around, and then I think you've just got threat, haven't you? You've got pace out wide with Alangi, you've got pace with Barnes, and you've got a striker that was in a false nine. And I feel like we just didn't, like you're saying, we didn't really get to grips with them, and I think we struggled to kind of adapt. And probably one of the weird things that I got from it is when we've played Newcastle in the past, we've always sort of had a little bit of a mini game plan, whether that's when they go man for man, moving a player across. So there's like a 2v2 on one side that opens up space. And I just felt like we didn't do that as much. And it was just a bit surprising. I mean, Ryan, sort of touching on what Hannah was saying then.
Yeah.
Do you think we were a bit safe or not?
Again, I point back to, I think Newcastle learnt some lessons last time. Like Watkins absolutely ripped Shah last time. And then every time we went long to Watkins, it didn't matter if it was on Shah's side. Burn would come over, take him out. Trippier, he was right on Luca Digne straight away. There was certain trigger points all around the pitch. And I think they'd learnt from us smashing them 4-1 big time. And like what you were saying, Hannah, where we're building, what we try to do is break that press in and virtually leave it till the very last millisecond before playing the ball to try and break through the lines. We want to be as press resistant as we can, and that's the risk. And the reward is you break that line, and then we've got our 3 number 10s turning and going to goal. And first half, we just couldn't get it through. Newcastle were too intense, and we was very very slow in the mind, slow in the movement. But the second half, we started to do it. We started to find them pockets. And Nana was biting them in and slipping balls through it. And it was moving and it was starting to get going. And obviously the red card buckled that. And then you just have to, sit back and try not to concede and snatch one on the break. But I think it felt bad because it wouldn't stick up top. You have the ball in defence and you pass it around and you feel like you're getting nowhere. But when you do get through, you got to make use of it. But every time it went through, we give it away. The front four, you went through it, didn't you, Luke, on your tactical debrief? How minimal touches they had, how much give the ball away. On Twitter, I've got their pass map of the 4 of them, and it's just all red lines which indicate unsuccessful passes. So that's the problem. You build like that, you've got to make it count when you've got that ball in the final third. And we didn't, unfortunately, but we have Saturday to rectify that and go again.
I mean, Mathew, my final question before we look at our FPL teams, because we're gonna go around the group and we're gonna check how many points everybody's got, and we'll find out who's done the worst. But I just want to catch your thoughts, because there's a lot of Villa fans that are going, what about Marlon? Like, what's Marlon got to do to get a game? What about Matson? What's Mats? These players still aren't in that first game. Like, what are your thoughts for those? Is there time for them to grow this season, or are they tactical changes, or where are you at with like those two in particular?
Unai's always, and he's a theme here, he always goes with his tries and tested, even first couple of games. He did it last season as well. Potentially, we're going to play like 60 games this season, or it could be more. I don't know off the top of my head, but it could be well over the 60s. There is plenty of football to play. I do think Marlon, he didn't play on the right all pre-season, did he? He played down the middle of the pitch. The whole pre-season played down the middle of the pitch. He's going to be. I feel like he's going to be a bit of a court hero down the Villa as well, because you just get behind him. All he thinks is about is, can I put the ball in the goal? Can I pass it to someone who can put the ball in the goal? He's literally addicted to them goalposts. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Why did we sign him? Did we sign him to be a starter? Because what has he got to do to get a Premier League start? It's pretty mental. But look, I hope he does. I really gets a start. I don't think he'll start against Brentford. I don't think Mathewson's start against Brentford either. I think it will be Luca Dean in there again. And like I said, I think the tactic would have been against Newcastle for 11 against 11. Mathew comes on, pace. Marlon comes on, pace and directness. I'd look, these lads are going to get a chance. And I do think Mathew, 2 seasons ago, was voted Champions League best left back. And that, so there's tons of potential in the young lad. Is he on the small side, lightweight? Yes. He's all of that. Marlon, we don't know what he's like to start a game really because we've never seen it. So that'll be interesting. Can he stay engaged mentally in a game? I don't know. Ollie Watkins definitely can't. Look, it'll be interesting to it'll be interesting to see if these boys are given the chance soon.
And what about your mate that you've been seeing at the Belfry, Guesson?
Guesson, yes. Yeah. Look, the boy's definitely got some talent. Typical Emirate. Look, he'll probably sit on the bench for another 5 games and integrating very slowly. Match fitness, Premier League tempo. The game, and I'm sure loads of people are watching who've played it, and we've played it. The game, starting the game and coming on as a sub, 2 completely different things. The game's stretched, so you would like to bring him on for 20 minutes. So you don't want to ask him a big question. Can you start a game of football? It's a big question. It's a big question to ask. Look, come on for 20 minutes. Come and get at this Brentford defence when we're already 3-0 up. Come and get us a 4th. Look. There's something there. He's a ball carrier. And it's going to be exciting to see where he fits in. He is a typical Emirate signing as well. He can play anywhere across the front of the pitch, which is amazing. Gives us loads of flexibility. You will see him play up front. You will see Marlon play up front. They'll rotate with Rodgers. So I think he has played on the right as well. So that'll be interesting to see. I think that right midfield position is a massive one up for debate, and signing Asensio won't be the solution either. So I'd love to see if we do go for someone in that position. But
hope so. Hopefully we sign another attacker. Right, let's see who's got the worst FPL team then. Hannah, how many points you got?
Oh, I had a stinker. I actually nearly deleted the app the other day because I had Livramento on the bench and Sarah of Spurs on my bench. And if I had them in the team, I would have had an extra 15 points.
Oh, nice.
But no, they're on the bench. So I got a stinking 34.
Oh, that is a bit of a stinker. Because the average is 51. So
yes, I'm well aware.
Right.
Aware.
Ryan, how many you got?
I'm above average. I'm 52.
Oh, nice. Right, Mathew, you got points. Yours?
Yeah, I've had a right Tony Blair. I've got 30.
Is that worse 30. Than Hannah?
I don't know. I don't know.
What did you get, Hannah?
34.
Yeah, I think was the average like 32, 33? So you're just above average.
I knew what you was going on about.
I don't normally do it. Oh, 51? Oh, I haven't checked it. But yeah, it was last one was 30.
I got 50, so I'm just behind Ryan then. So
Ryan wins.
But you know who I put in goal?
I've seen that actually, yes.
Bizot. Yeah. Oh, I had him. I backed him. I backed Bizot and he got me 7.
do you know who I had in defence?
Who?
Konza.
Me too, Ryan. No. Me too. Why did I not have Livramento instead of Konza? Anyway, it's what if. First game week, I always want to delete this app, but I'm going to persist.
It's a marathon. It's a marathon, Hannah.
We're going to stick with it, and we'll have our updates after each preview then, and we'll see how we're developing. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Smash the likes, comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.